Hello, everybody. Thanks for downloading this episode of the Nerdball Podcast. I am your host, Lorenzo Melcher, as always, sitting here in my basement, hanging out, as my children are upstairs doing who knows what. Actually, it's quiet, so that's good. So they're probably reading books and that kind of stuff, or on their phones. So I say this every week. Thanks to all of you for listening, downloading, subscribing to the podcast. Picked up a few more YouTube subscribers, so that's cool. So keep that going. Haven't really touched any social media stuff. I did look into this app that you put a video in and it gives you 10 clips. They say 10 viral clips. I guess I'll be the judge of that. So you can do it one time for free. So I might do that, see what that looks like. Maybe cut down on some of the work that I'm doing. But again, I'm investing in something that has yet to pay me any money. So I don't know. We'll see. That might be a family discussion. The family has put in a lot of money into this podcast. So I think I should consult them around dinner. But anyway, so maybe look out for social media. Who knows? I don't know. Just keep downloading, subscribe. You guys are great doing that. Excuse me. My guest today is a former teacher, realtor, works at a gym, does a lot of stuff. It's a great conversation with her. I always wonder why teachers leave teaching, so I asked her that question. So that was a cool conversation there. But it was a great episode. If you would like to hear more of these, make sure you're subscribing, hitting the like button wherever you are listening, so you don't miss an episode. And I look forward to you all listening to this episode. Thanks.
I'm Cortney Rager, and this is the Nerdball Podcast.
Right on cue. Look at that. Right. Perfect.
This is the Nerdball Podcast with Lorenzo Melcher.
All right, thanks, Cortney, for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, no problem. Well, I know, but I'm in the middle of a really cool podcast, so I can't help you right now.
But I don't know what to do.
And this is life.
It is.
This is it. You can just go play with your buddies. Love ya. Okay. This is gonna be your best one ever.
I'm sure. Yeah. So Cortney, thank you for coming on. My first thing is how many times do people misspell your name? I wanted to put a U in it
every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really fun and I get a K.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I'm like, well, that's different.
Throws it off a little bit. That's how my wife, her name's Andrea, and she spells it Andria, but no one ever spells it right.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. I just that was the first thing, because I immediately put a U in it. I go, I better check it just to make sure. So
yep. No you. Parents messed me up at birth. What? Go. Ask Jack. Ask your brother. He's big. Go on. Go. Ask him. Love you so much. That's parenting advice for everybody. Just tell them you love them
and they'll be all right. Yeah. Just know the love. Yeah.
Exactly.
So the first thing I always ask people is, what is something you nerd out about? Something you're really into, a hobby, TV show? Do you like cooking? Something that kind of gets you away from like the daily grind.
Well, I like disciplining my kids. I would say that's a big hobby of mine. No, I love plants.
Oh, nice. Plants. Oh, that's perfect. I love plants. Yeah.
Yeah. So unfortunately, like this room doesn't have as many, but other rooms have an abundance of foliage. So I do like plants, and I like books.
So specifically like indoor plants or anything? Indoor
plants. Yeah. We stoned our entire outside because I don't know how to grow outdoor plants.
Okay.
So we have 0 plants outside of our home. All stones.
I think that's called xeriscaping. So
yeah.
Where it's all stone and everything. And there are as someone who went to school for landscape and turf grass management, there's super easy plants that you can stick in your yard.
Well, we did that. We did that last year. We got a little wild. We got what are they called? Yuccas. They're called yuccas.
Yeah.
And they're still green. And we got about 4 of them and put them in our backyard. We have a pool back there. And so I was like, well, how can we make it maybe like tropical feeling? And those things look kind of tropical.
Yeah.
So they're still there. They haven't died, and I haven't done anything to them. So they're my new favorite.
They make variegated yuccas. I don't know if yours are just
Yeah.
green. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen those ones. I don't have those ones though.
Yeah. Those would be even more tropical feeling.
Well, maybe that's what I'll add next year.
So indoor plants, we don't have like the greatest windows for indoor plants. So
Okay.
we do have like I call it a garden window, but it is like a window that kind of sticks out a little bit. It's not quite a bay window because it's not huge.
Yeah.
But it looks like they put it specifically for plants. So we have some in there. I've been getting into succulents lately.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so much where my parents had one. I took a couple of leaves off, and then when I go to the store, if I see leaves on the ground
You take
around the
them.
succulents, I'll pick them up because they're so easy to propagate.
You're propagating king. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. So I have a bunch of little pots, and I need to get bigger pots now. But
Oh,
I don't know what to do with them because I don't have a quality area to put these plants. So
right.
I don't know.
Right.
I'm gonna have to give them to my parents because my parents have a really good space, and so does my in-laws. So I might have
Right.
to just start shipping them out.
Well, I mean, you know who else would take them?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Me.
yeah. I have some really cool ones, and I have it's cool like to start from a leaf, and now there's a
It
plant like
is.
4 inches.
Yeah,
It's
they're
really cool.
cool. They're
Yeah.
super cool.
Is that you've always been to that, or is that one thing like, hey, when I get a
Uh,
house, I want to do
you know
this?
what? I was actually trying to think about when it started. Um, I feel like our first house, I think our first house we bought in Perrysburg was when I got some plants. And one of them, I mean, we got it at Lowe's, it was almost, I think it's similar to a yucca. It's actually like a big stalk and then it's got like big, thick green leaves. But it was, maybe, I don't know, as tall as my 2-year-old when he was 2, now he's 10. But it was about as tall as he was when I got it. And now, I mean, it's huge. And that was, yeah, like 8 years ago. So I'd say about 8 years ago.
Okay, all right.
When I don't know why. It's like, oh, this might look cool in our kitchen, and then it began. The rest is history.
Yeah, yeah. I think more times than not, people when I ask them that, it's like, oh, when did that start? Or when did you start doing that? They don't have a solid answer. They're just like,
Yeah,
I don't know. It just I picked up a book one day, or I picked up a plant, or
yeah,
I started knitting and it was cool, or whatever.
yeah.
Which I guess is a really good way to pick up a hobby because people as someone who has tried a bunch of different things, like you try to
Right,
find all these things for no seemingly no reason, and then something sticks, and you're like, all right, well, this is I'm the indoor plant person now, I guess.
right, right, right. My friends have gotten me bags like crazy plant lady and coffee mugs and all kinds of stuff. So, and then you start collecting that, and it's just great.
As that cat walked by, I think you have the record for the most things just walking by in your background.
Well, and that's funny
It's
because
so.
there's two people missing. The dog's actually down here in the corner.
Oh,
And
okay.
if my 7-year-old were home, he would also be coming out. So,
It's so funny, but you're right. Like as a mom, like that's just what is happening. Like when your daughter came up, she in her little brain she knew it's like, I probably shouldn't be bothering mom, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm a child and I'll do what I
yep.
want. And
And it's fine. And mom's not going to yell at me in front of all these people. So it's fine. Oh,
all these people is pretty generous.
hey, you know what? We're going to go with it.
All right, all right.
1.5 million followers are going to do this today. Oh, that Mrs. Rager's on there.
Someday. People always ask when I ask them to come on, like, well, why do you want me to come on, or what am I going to talk about, this and that? I was like, well, that's my job. I'll figure it out, and I'll interview you and ask good questions. Also, selfishly, each person I interview, I'm hoping at least one person in their circle is like, oh, this is
Yeah,
pretty cool, and I'll be a lifelong listener now. So
yeah, for sure.
like I'm trying to like broaden that, and all these people that are like that I kind of know. That's my favorite part about it. I've said it several times on here. The people that I kind of know are my
Right,
favorite because I can be really comfortable with you, but still like ask these questions that I want to know the answers to
right,
because that beginning level of friendship.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, send it. Go ahead. I can't watch it. Go, go see your brother. Okay.
I gotta have a stern face, so I'm not adding to it.
A third face.
A stern face, just so.
Look at, look how
Yeah.
mad he is, Riley. Oh, dang. The tongue spit out doesn't really affect either of us. Love ya. Actually, it's funny. She's normally not like this on
Isn't that
calls.
wild? Isn't that,
Yeah,
yeah.
normally, normally, I'll have a call with, the owner of my gym. So we'll have a call a week. I have a call with my real estate teammate. And so like she's very comfortable with them, but I think since she doesn't know you, she's like, oh, let's just
Something new. Let's see what
be
happens.
wild.
Yeah.
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 hmm Anyways. Okay.
Well, you mentioned two things. You're, working at a gym and then being a realtor now, and a real
Right.
estate agent. First of all, and I don't know if you want to answer this question to the fullest, but the first question that came to my mind, and I'm sure
Right.
people have asked you, is like, why'd you leave teaching?
Right. Let me do my behavior management real quick. Hey,
Okay.
that's tough. I need you to go watch your show because I'm in the middle of something. Can you do that? Love you. Bye. Okay. Actually, it's funny. The year I left, we had just had this great behavior training, and I really would have loved to use it another year, but now I just use it at home. Um, so yeah, why I left teaching? It's a very tough question.
Yeah.
So I taught for 10 years, and I was lucky enough to have your child. Actually, I was going to make the joke when you were talking about followers, like I hope you just want all the kids to follow you because I know 600 children.
Hey, followers are followers, right?
That's like the only people I know. Um, but no, so when I started out, I was in a charter school, and coming from Perrysburg, it was pretty eye-opening to work with a lot of those kids. And I still keep in touch with a lot of those kids, and they're, like 19, 20, 21 now, which is wild. And they've gone through a lot of things that I'll probably never ever go through.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I started out in fifth grade in Toledo for 2 years, and I went up to Lake for fourth grade for the next 5. And that was great. Built a nice, uh, school community there, and I loved all the people that I worked with and all the kids that I worked with. And then the end goal, in the bottom of my heart, was always like, I want to end up in Perrysburg. I want to, be a true townie, live here, teach here. My kids go here, like, live, breathe, die, jackets. And so anyway, so COVID, so 2020, they were hiring, and I was like, well, that would be wild to like get hired in fall of 2020. Well, I did, and
Yeah.
it was funny because my interview was actually via Zoom, and I did it from my daughter's bedroom, which was like a nursery at the time. And I remember making all these dumb jokes because I was like, I have a great job, like I love where I'm teaching, so I'm just gonna go in and be myself because teaching interviews are really like nerve-wracking.
I've heard from teacher friends of mine how they can, yeah.
Yeah, because you got all these principals staring at you, and you're like, oh dang, and like a director of curriculum, and all, I mean, it makes me nervous,
Mm-hmm.
and I like people, so it's funny. But anyway, I was like, I'm just gonna be myself. If I crack some jokes, I crack some jokes, and this is just kind of who I am. So I remember going into that interview, and it was my first time like on a Zoom call like that with adults, and so I remember getting on. I'm like, oh geez, my hair looks awful. And then I like went like this. It's like, I'm so sorry. My 2-year-old really just, her room is a disaster. I'm so sorry. She didn't clean up before my interview. Like just all these dumb things. And then they hired me. And I was like, well, and actually it was the other funny one. I'll never forget because I was just so proud of myself. Like we were supposed to do a lesson. So like we pretend that they're kids and we present a lesson that they've provided us the standards with. And I asked a question and like no one answered. And I was like, hey, if we're going to role play, I need someone to pretend to answer that question for me.
Oh, man.
So anyway, so I was thankful because they were like, well, I guess she's kind of crazy. Like she could be fun.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I got hired in fall of 2020. And I feel like actually that was the easiest year, which is weird because that was the first year we all went back and it was masks and like everyone was divided. And so Mateo must have been what, second grade.
2020.
Second grade, and he was third
He's
grade.
he's in 6th grade right now. So maybe
third. Gosh, was he my second group? I don't even remember anymore. There's so many groups, so many kids, 600 kids. So anyway, so then we had our second, so it was great, like getting to know the team and like the kids and the building. And the second year was good. And then the third year, I don't know, there was just I feel like the pressures of teaching just kind of started to weigh on me a little bit. There was, just like the redundancy of testing and like, making sure we're hitting all of these standards and, student behaviors and like, I personally always felt like I had really good parent support. Like I really don't feel like I ever had any parents that ever made me feel bad. Like
Mm,
maybe two or three over 10 years. I was always very fortunate because not every teacher is. And there are a lot of parents who don't support and appreciate their kid's teacher. And it's like, we're the first person they blame. And
yeah.
man, like if we could only have a camera in the classroom, you wouldn't say that.
You know, yeah, as coaches, we say that too. Like, hey,
Yeah.
why is my kid not playing this, that? Come to practice.
Yeah.
Come to
I mean,
practice
it's
and watch
like,
your kid.
exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just like we wouldn't make it up.
Yeah.
Like that, it's not fun for us. So, between other just some of my friends and some of the things that they went through last year and like admin went through and just I just was like, if that ever happened to me, I would just my little like I'm very like positive person. And like
Uh-huh.
I would just be crushed. My whole spirit would be crushed. And I'm like, I can't let that happen to me. And so I just was like, you know what? There's other things. I'm a people person, so like I know there's other things I could do.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, I want to work with kids because I do like kids. And I know
Yeah.
that's a bit cliche of teachers to say, but it's totally true. So
Well, there's got to be some of that. No one's gonna be like,
you
hey,
have to.
I'm getting into teaching because math is
Right.
awesome. Not
Right. Heck no. No way. Like if you don't like kids, and
yeah.
there are teachers who don't like kids, it's like
That's
if you don't, you gotta get out.
that's so crazy
Go
to
do
me.
something else.
Yeah.
Because you're surrounded by tiny humans all day long.
Yeah.
Like, oh my golly. But yeah, so I just kind of started thinking and like I said, I started working out at Vault 3 years, well, same around the same time, actually, 2020 of the
Okay.
fall. And I liked our owner and we're the same age. And I was like, would you ever think like I could work here? Like, because I love fitness. That's kind of my love for that's I guess that'd be another nerd thing. I like
Okay.
fitness. I was like, I could do this. Like I could coach. It's teaching and it's fun and I'm high energy. And so he started, talking to me about it. And I was like, well, maybe I'll do that. And then my best friend and her husband, Kelly and Jake Whitmer, they got into real estate. They left corporate America, wanted to make their own schedule and got into real estate. So I was like, well, I like people, so I could just show houses. Like that would be fun for me, talk to people. And so then I got my license and then I was like, well, I have these two opportunities. Like usually I don't stray from the beaten path, but let's just do it. And so I resigned and it was super hard. I mean, lots of tears because it's just one scary. My schedule was changing. My kids like kind of knew the whole routine and
Mm-hmm.
but we're doing it and it's fine and it's good and I'm learning lots of things and it's going well.
Well,
So
you're able to take the part that you loved about teaching the kids and the talking to people and all that, and be able to do two different things now with that, and still have
right.
fulfillment with that.
Yeah.
Um, but the becoming a realtor seems scary to me because you can be you can be a really good realtor showing houses and talking to people and this and
Mhm.
stuff, but then it all depends on the market and you have no
Right.
control over that, and
Right.
it just seems very scary to me that something could happen with my job that I don't have a control over.
Right. And that's why it's kind of nice to have this other side
Yeah, yeah.
because I'm like, yikes, that would be, and I'm still learning. And like I've had three closings. Oh, that's four, three closings. And they were all like friends of mine. So one was someone who moved back. Actually, she was from Perrysburg too, moved back from the South. So I got a new build experience. And then a family from church had me list their house. And then my uncle actually had me help him purchase a house. So it was really nice. It was a nice transition for me to learn with people like, just like you said for this podcast, like people that you feel comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if you do make a mistake, which I try really hard not to, but if you do, it's not someone you don't know,
Yeah,
so
yeah, because those mistakes, especially with strangers, are like, all right, should we
yeah.
be working with this person? Like,
Right. Because it's
yeah,
not just like a small mistake. It's like, oh dang, there's thousands of dollars at stake. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
and deadlines, timelines, and
The yeah. So I've only worked with one realtor. We've had the same realtor. We bought two houses, sold one, bought two, and we've used the same guy, and he's been really good. And
yeah.
we, but I don't know like anybody else besides him.
Well,
But
now you do.
yeah, but the things that I think about because he's been doing it for so long, like all these, house things and things that you like when you walk into a house, are you nervous about like if they, I guess that's why the people you chose or the people that chose you is helpful too. Like if they ask you a question about something, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know. Like, what is that kind of plug or what is this or what, it seems hard too, but it's all learning,
It is. And I try to put myself in my students' shoes because, I'd always say there's no such thing as a dumb question, but honestly, there really are. They're
Oh,
dumb
yeah.
questions. But, some questions, most questions are not. So, I always tell them like, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to admit that if you don't know something.
Yep.
And it's hard, however, to do that as an adult. And so I'm trying to remind myself, like, I'm not going to know everything. And I don't have experience in like building homes and electric work and plumbing. So like, there are lots of things I'm like, I have no clue where that hose leads to. However, like, that's not my expertise. So like, it's okay. And I have to remind myself that like, it's okay for me to tell a client, you know what? I'm not sure where that hose leads to or what that outlet's for, but I'm going to find out and I'll let you know. So like, as long as I reach out to someone who does know, who can give the correct answer, then that's okay. I mean, if I was just like, I don't know, then that wouldn't be as great of a thing.
Do you do homework or do anything to like, all right, well, I'm deficient in this aspect of it. So what, like, how do I get better at that?
Yeah, I've been so I said I really like books. So I do a lot of audiobooks. However, it's hard for me to break away from my like fiction books to go to like nonfiction or a podcast or something like that where I could gain some knowledge.
Yeah.
So my goal this year is to try to lessen my fiction fun book, which is like awful, and do some like educational listening on real estate. Like I'll do some I do like self-help books, but I haven't done a lot of real estate ones in a while. So that would be something that's beneficial to me to kind of soak it in and hear different perspectives and learn different things. So
I would listen to this podcast called Learning Leader Show, and it has a bunch of leaders, and they have books, and they talk about it's geared towards leaders and leadership. But I'd be mowing and they're like, all right, well, here's this book I'm writing. I have the top 6 things for whatever. And I'm like I don't have anything right. Like, so I have to stop the mower and get my phone out. And I'm like, all right. And like put all these things in my phone because they sound good. And I want to like know more about these things, but I'm mowing,
right.
or doing something outside. So I enjoy that stuff too. But it's, I was talking to Scott Bucher and
Oh, his dad's my neighbor.
Oh, yeah.
We grew up, yeah, he literally grew up across the street from me.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So he's a good friend of mine. We graduated at the same time together. And so I talked to him about reading books, and he says, well, he likes the actual books, and he'll
Right.
read them and he'll highlight certain things that he likes. And then at the end of the book, he said he goes on his computer and just writes all the things or types all the things that he highlighted.
Right.
And now he has like this huge file of all these like important things to him, like of
Right.
all these books
Oh,
that he can just go
cool.
through and look. And I thought that was pretty cool. So I started doing that with a book. It took me about a year to read this book off and on, but I finished it finally. It was
What was
good.
it?
It was the Book of Joe. It was about Joe Madden,
Oh,
baseball manager, about his life, and a lot of good leadership stuff in there, and just being
cool.
a good coach and that kind of stuff. So finished that one, and then the next book I picked up was, I like Chuck Palahniuk too. He wrote Fight Club.
Oh,
um and his books are, I mean, if you've seen Fight Club, it's a pretty graphic movie,
yeah.
and that's how his books are. They're pretty brutal, some of
Okay.
them. So I've read quite a few of his books, so I picked that one up. So I can read pretty much anything.
Yeah.
I just gotta have the time to do it, and once I like get into it, then I'm okay. But it's like, all right, am I gonna start this book? I don't know.
Right, right. Well, I'll cheat. I'll have it on my Kindle. Um,
Oh.
and then because I actually like real books too. Like I have a whole shelf over there. But like in bed, it's easier with my Kindle because I don't have to have like a book light and I can just like
Mm-hmm.
put it on my side. But I'll have it on my Kindle, but I'll also have it on audiobook. So like I'll read a little bit at night and then in the morning I skip to that chapter in the audiobook and I'll read it in the car and
Oh, okay.
I can like finish it in double time.
Yeah, well, I also listen to things in 2 times speed, so
Oh,
I get the
I
no,
can't do the 2 times speed. No, it's like oh my gosh.
not,
My
well, I shouldn't say not. It's not quite. It's 1.7. is what I listen to
Oh,
podcasts on.
okay. Okay.
I tried one. I tried 1.8. It was too much. So 1.7 it is. Actually, I interviewed an author, and I think she works at University of Rice, but she and her husband wrote a book called City on Mars. And when she agreed to come on the podcast, I hadn't yet read the book, and she was going to come on the podcast in 4 days. So I had to. I had
Oh my
to. I
gosh.
had to audio book this two. That was 2 times speed.
Oh yeah.
But I had to get it done before I
That's
interviewed
funny.
the author. Yeah, but that was cool. It was a good book. Again, like pretty much just like being able to read anything is I think is good for me. I just gotta initially do it, and then
Yeah.
I'm okay. But
Yeah.
have you liked books your whole life? Have you liked reading?
I try to remember that because obviously teaching reading, I was always like, kids, you gotta read. It's so great. But
Mm.
I don't remember if I liked
Oh,
reading that much when I was in like elementary school and junior high. Like I truly don't remember. I know I started reading more in college. Like I read like Harry Potter. Like I think I read Harry Potter starting in college. And I did like Twilight, like all these big series, that were juvenile fiction. But all the movies were coming out and they were like geared toward high school, college, I guess age. So like, well, I'll read these. And that's when I think I really started. Like I read in high school, but I did a lot of Spark Notes.
oh
Like I would read
yeah.
like for The Great Gatsby. I
Yep.
remember getting on Spark Notes all the time.
That's funny. Yeah, I was just on Netflix and I saw The Great Gatsby on there. I told Andrew, I was like, you know what? I remember enjoying that book, but I couldn't tell you anything about it.
No, me neither.
But
I,
I read it. It was I thought at the time it was good, but
right. And I actually reread To Kill a Mockingbird.
I was just to
To
say I would love to read those Fahrenheit 451,
Oh
Lord of the
yeah.
Flies, like all
Yes,
those.
'cause
Yeah.
I don't even. That's what I think. That's why I think. I don't think I really enjoyed it. I think I just did it because we had to.
Yeah.
But To Kill a Mockingbird was really good, and I read the sequel
Oh,
now
nice.
as an adult. So thank you, Mrs. What was her name? Mrs. Kiernan. Kiernan? I
Yeah.
think that's what I had for you. I don't know. Long
Uh,
time ago.
you know who likes reading? Mateo likes reading.
No.
Yeah, he's a big reader. He doesn't read at home. We used to read at night,
Yeah.
because his teacher made him read 10 minutes to 20 minutes a day or whatever.
Yeah.
And but he doesn't do it anymore. And I was like, hey, you got to start reading again. He goes, I read at school. I go, you read it? Are you sure? Are you just saying that? He goes, no, we have a class. It's a study hall, and we have to read. I said,
Oh,
okay.
nice.
So then I asked him, what book are you reading? Oh, this book. What's that about? Oh, this and that. Who are the main characters? Like I asked him all these questions to
Oh
see if
yeah.
he's telling the
Good.
truth. He's not a liar. I just like to mess with him because
Yeah.
because he's my kid.
Of course. Absolutely.
I
Yep.
want I want to start reading, um, like I guess not with him, but like, hey, I want to read this book with you. You can read it at school, but I'm going to read it at home too, and then we can talk about it,
Yeah.
if you want. Just because that's what
Yeah.
I do. We went through development plans at work, and I have a couple of my staff that are going to read books, and I told them I'd read it with them, just so we can talk about it and everything. So it's
Club.
yeah, but yeah, it's one is there's a couple that my boss keeps telling we should read is the five dysfunctions of a team, I think it's
Oh,
called. And then one is
okay.
Radical Candor. He goes, everyone in the Metro Parks have read them. They're really good books. You should read them. I said, okay. So I'm my team. Some of my staff members are going to read them just
Oh, cool.
because I was tasked with it too. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
but it'll
Absolutely.
help. It'll help. And
Yeah.
we have this. You mentioned behavior early, and we have this section on development plans where it's a behavior part, and that's where we can use this development plan to further something they're really good at, try to
Right.
help them where they're lacking. And
Right.
I had a staff member who was really honest with himself, and he's like, I just don't have confidence. I don't have confidence in decision making. I want to be more assertive, and and I told him, I was like, yeah, sometimes when you call me, I'll get off the phone, and I'll go, he probably didn't need to call me for that. He goes, I do the same thing on my end. He goes, I'll hang up. I go, I didn't need to call him.
Right. Right.
But it was a cool thing to for him to say, like, I know I need this thing. I know,
Right.
like, and that's the one I was like, all right, well, find a book that you think will help you, and we'll read it together and see what
Yeah.
we can do. So
Well, we read Jack, my son Jack. We read Harry Potter
okay,
together
yeah.
because I wanted him to read it, but I truly wanted to read it again,
Mm-hmm.
because I just don't remember. And I went to lunch with a friend yesterday, and they had Harry Potter 4
Oh,
on the TV and I was like, this is when we're on. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's the end. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't remember all this stuff happened. And so like, we gotta get going. We gotta finish this book so we can watch the movie. They're so good.
I did not remember that I listened to all the Harry Potter books. I was at UT, and I would work. I would listen to them. Like when I was removing, I worked there for 7 years. So when I was removing snow at like 3 a.m., I would listen to them. And I went through my Audible account because I recently got it again because I wanted to see if they're like, I was looking for a certain book or something. Oh, that City on Mars book. And I had a free credit. So I went on there. I was like, wait, I listened to all the Harry Potter books.
Oh my gosh.
And I didn't even know. I didn't remember I did.
I know. It's crazy the stuff you don't remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, they're so
yeah. Have you been to the Harry Potter world at Universal Studios?
Nope. I think we're gonna try to plan a Disney trip to Disney, but they're different. They're different.
Yes.
Disney Universe. Yeah. We haven't been. But Kelly and Jake, like I said, they moved to Florida. My real estate partner.
Oh, okay.
Friend. And so they live like an hour and a half, 2 hours away from Disney. So we might go stay with them and take a trip. But that would be cool to go to the Harry Potter.
We're not super into Harry Potter, but all the stuff they did in that area is really cool, and it's like so immersive. Even when you're walking on like, you're like, oh, this is London. As you're walking by, you can't see any Harry Potter stuff, and then you like go behind a brick wall, and there's Diagon Alley and all this stuff there, and it was really cool. And although I had a friend at work who was making fun of me because I told her, I was like, yeah, you go in Diagon Alley, and then you take the Harry Potter train and go over here. She just thought, she goes, wait, I go, what? She goes, Harry Potter train. I was like, I don't know what it's called. She goes, the Hogmead Express. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But it's cool that, so and the good thing about Universal Studios is you can probably do everything in 2 days if you really, maybe even one day if you just like, hey, I just want to see the Harry Potter stuff. You can definitely do it in one day. But there's smaller parks than Disney. Than all the Disney parks. So, but we just took the kids a few weeks ago.
Cool.
But okay, when you're a teacher, did you have kids that their parents would pull them out of school to go on vacations, like not during? Yeah. How did you, as a teacher, how did you feel about that?
They're kids. Go.
Yeah. Okay.
Like take them.
That's right. Yeah. That's what I thought. Yeah, we talked about it, and I was more on that than Andrea was, and ultimately she's like, "Yeah, we're just gonna go because people do it all the time anyway."
So, because like if every single person waited until all the prime times to take their kids, those places would be packed every time. Like, just go. There was actually, oh man, that's tough. Hey, remember I said I don't want you to stick your tongue on the camera anymore? Okay, you can stay, but okay, great. So anyways, there was this family at wrestling actually where my son does wrestling, and they were I overheard them. I was like eavesdropping, and I really wanted to talk to them, because I love people. So I was like, oh, how can I?
I do that all the time.
And so, oh man, it's so embarrassing. Maybe that's another like nerdball thing, like trying to make friends. My husband says I attack people with friendship. I'm like, what? That's nice. So,
oh, that's good.
Yeah. Oh,
just throwing friend bombs everywhere.
It is. It's ridiculous. But anyways, these two guys, they're friends. They were talking about one was going to take their kids to Disney, like a Disney cruise, I think, in February. And he's like, yeah, we just don't know. Like, do we pull the kids out? Do we I don't want to be that bad parent. And I was like, this is my in. And I was like, hey, I was a teacher for 10 years. You take those kids out of school and you take them on that cruise. And you have fun. Said, they'll be fine. They'll survive.
Actually, it worked out great for us because that was the week where we had really cold weather and snow. So the kids missed one, and it was a holiday on Monday. So the kids missed 1 day of school. Yeah.
Martin Luther King week.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that was a good week.
The kids missed 1 day.
I mean, for the teachers, for me now that I'm home, I was like, oh my gosh, they need to go back. I was like, wow, how the tables have turned.
Yes. Yeah. I know during the summer, Andrea was like, I can't wait till these kids go back to school because she works from home full time.
Oh yeah.
So she's just like, and they're older, they're 12 and 9, but they're still sliding misspelled notes in front of her camera, like, can I have a snack? Like all these things you don't need. Like, why do you bother me with this right now?
Right. Just get a snack. Although mine I have to ask too, so it's fine.
And Mateo still does it, which is good. At some point he's not going to. But he still does. He asks, he makes his own lunch, which is cool. Like he'll say, can I make lunch? I'm like, yeah, I can make it for you. He goes, no, I can do it. So I try to pay attention on why he wants to do it. but he doesn't make it any bigger than I actually. Sometimes he makes it smaller than I would. So
Yeah.
like, I don't know. He just likes to do it, I guess. Sometimes
Yeah.
I'll offer it to cook him something. He goes, "No, I just want a turkey sandwich." I said, "Okay."
Yeah. That's
So
great.
yeah.
Yeah, my
They get-
9-year-old's just gotten into cooking, and he'll make avocado toast with an
Oh.
egg. So we learned how. I taught him. At first I'm like, oh my gosh, like he's gonna be on the stove. But like if you teach kids, like kids can do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I just feel like nowadays, like we just hold them all the time. And it's like they're really capable,
Oh
truly.
yeah.
You hold them to high expectation, they'll meet it. So yeah,
Mateo saw, I think he saw in a YouTube video, this person took a piece of bread, cut a hole in it, and then fried an egg in it inside the bread.
yeah,
And he's like, "Dad, I want to do this." And he showed me. I was like, "All right." So I watched him the first time, and I had to help him a little bit.
yeah.
But not, yeah, does it every once in a while.
As my
So
kid comes up with 2 white chocolate chips.
that's all she had.
No note. No note, but she's got the 2 white chocolate chips. Yep. So just
Breakfast.
at least she gets the notes.
Do you still have to? Do you still wake up early on the weekends and have to do like things for them?
Yeah.
Morning.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, it's very brave of you. You don't
Darn
know
it, I
where
gotta count that in my macros.
you don't know where that's been.
No, I sure don't. Probably on the floor. Love it.
Because that's where we're at now. Where I set my alarm last night just to make sure I didn't miss this podcast. I set it for 8:30, and when I went to bed, I was like, the alarm will go off in 9.5 hours. I go, oh my gosh, 9.5 hours, and I woke up about 9 hours of that. But I don't worry about my kids. Lillian usually has Pop-Tarts, or Mateo will make cereal or toast or whatever.
Yeah.
And, it's I don't know. Are you still you're still dealing
I
with?
feel like my like internal clock kind of wakes me up sometime like 7. Like today, I had an alarm set for 7:40 because I'm trying actually to like get up earlier. I like when I coach 2 days a week, and when I coach, I have to get up at 4:40 because the first class is at 5:30.
Okay.
So like then other days, like if I also try to work out in the morning, and I work out at usually the 6:30 class. So like I'm usually getting up like between 4:40 and 6, like every day. And it's been a couple weeks now. So my internal clock just kind of gets me up,
Yeah.
not enough I don't trust it enough to not set an alarm, but like it is kind of nice to get up and be ready before the kids get up, because I find if I'm sleeping and they wake me up, or if I sleep in, I actually am more groggy if I don't like get up and like get some water and have my coffee and kind of putz around a little bit. So
Well, if I do take go to vault, that'd be the class I would take, is the 5:31, because I got it. We're supposed to be at work at 6, but I'm the supervisor and I'm trying to scale back my start time because I've been working like 9 to 10 hours a day, so I'm trying to scale back that start time because I know I've been there later. So
well, the 5:30 is fun. They're a fun little bunch in the 5:30.
I did. Do you notice if there's, and not even just that class, but just in general, are there more men or women that work out, or is it a mix? Just at your place?
Hey, honestly, I think it's a pretty good mix. Like,
I was just curious.
Yeah, I think it is. I don't think I could say for sure if it's more men or women. Because
Did you see the New Year's jump that happened there, or no?
Oh, no, we don't usually get a New Year's jump.
Yeah, I would imagine that's more like Planet Fitness.
It is,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I did talk to Mateo about it. He's supposed to get back to me, so he said I'll think about it. I said okay. He just really wants to lift weights, and I keep trying to tell him, like, you can't do that yet, man. And you're just too young. I know you're a big dude and you want to do it. I was like, you can't do it yet. You can do push-ups and sit-ups and run around and all these different body weights and motions and stuff. You can't lift weights yet, man.
Well, I mean, you can tell them though, like, I mean, I have kids who are, working on their hinge. Like the hinge would be like the first step to like a deadlift. And they're using kettlebells like at once, but they didn't use those until their form was perfect picking up a dodgeball.
Yeah.
I mean, so he will get to use weights. It's just not like, he's not going to be like overhead pressing like 45 pounds. You know what I mean? But,
we have kettlebells, and there was a time when I was using them. He likes kettlebells.
Yeah.
I like kettlebells a lot.
And we'll do like farmers carries with those. We'll do like dumbbell goblet squats. Like if his squat form's good, we add some weight. And I have like a bunch of kids training bars and stuff like that. So as their form improves, like they do get to use some, but it's not enough where they would probably, injure themselves because that would defeat the purpose.
And that's what he doesn't understand is like, dude, you're growing and you still got, he's, I think he's like 5'7". I go, you're going to end up being, 6'5". Like you still have a lot to grow. And I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to hurt your growth plates and your muscles and all these things that can affect you in the end. If he has a goal of starting varsity as a freshman, that's his goal. And I think that's why he wants to lift weights, because he's been around football long enough, because I've been there for forever. And last year Reed Durkin was a freshman starting on the offensive line. He saw that, and he's like, yeah, I want to do that too. So I like that he has that. So I'm just trying to foster as much as I can.
Right.
Because not every kid says I want to work out.
Right. Well, if you send them, they always say they listen to other people more than their parents. So
for sure, I get that all the time from parents.
Yep. The one
not even about football.
I know. It's anything. My one friend, he's a member, and his kid comes, and I'm like, he's doing so great. And he goes, yeah, well, he listens to you way more than he listens to me at home. And I'm like, I know. It's just my kids are exactly the same way. They're in the class, and half the time I'm like, hey, I have kids here that are members, and like you're here because you're my kid, and so like you need to listen because like
watch
Taylor Swift, absolutely. Yep. Yeah.
Such a big deal. Yeah. Mine too.
She wants Taylor Swift to be her sister, was what she said. And I said, like, back when Britney Spears was my idol, I don't think I ever actually want to be my sister, but we can take it to that level.
See, Taylor Swift and Britney Spears, they were so like boys and girls like them. And you brought up Britney Spears. It reminded me, I had had to be 2 feet by 3 feet cardboard, and I cut out all the whatever Britney Spears picture I found. I cut out and put on my
good old Britney.
It was just all about it. Yeah. But
oh my gosh, Britney Spears. I read her book. I read her autobiography.
How was that?
I listened to it.
Yeah.
It sounded like Britney.
Okay.
If Britney were to write a book, that's what I would expect it to be.
Well, that's exactly what I thought. So okay. Yes. All right.
Yep.
Well, I won't keep you. I know you got somewhere to be, but I do appreciate you coming on here. We didn't get a chance to talk about your social media and that kind of stuff because I really enjoy watching those. But
let me check because round two.
That's all right. You can always come back on. It's not a big deal. This doesn't have to be a one and done. You can come back on and.
Fun. This is fun.
I'm telling you, people really enjoy it. And there's been a lot of people who are like, I kind of want to do this. I go, hey, whenever you have an idea, even if you don't have your own podcast, but you're like, hey, this might be good for some sort of podcast or something. I always tell people, come here. We'll do whatever your idea is. We'll put it out under my platform just so it's out there and people can see it. And if you like it, we can do more. There's that author I talked about. She had all these stories that didn't quite fit in the book, and she wanted to do a podcast. And she's like, I just ultimately talked myself out of it. I go, well, come on here. We'll schedule something. We'll put all these out as like a little mini series of all these things that didn't make it in the book. And so if you ever have any ideas like that, let me know because I'm all about it. I love podcasts. I want people to do them if they get excited about it too. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, enjoy your day of wrestling. And
yes, I can't wait. It's my favorite.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks again to my guest, Cortney Rager, for coming on the podcast. It was awesome listening to, as soon as she said she likes plants, I'm like, all right, we could have had a whole podcast about plants probably. But then she didn't. She said she did like outside plants. I'm like, well, that's kind of my jam. Indoor, not so much. But maybe she can take one of my succulents that I've been growing in the cold window. But yeah, great conversation. I knew, like I said, during the podcast, I knew her a little bit because she was my son's teacher. But it was good. So we got, talking into her new jobs now that she left teaching, a great conversation about her leaving teaching and why she did that. Reading books, Harry Potter a little bit more. And so it was a great conversation. Hopefully she comes back on. I am very interested in talking to her about her social media. She does a lot for her realtor Instagram. So that was cool. So again, thanks to Cortney for coming on. Thanks to all of you for always following, liking, sharing, subscribing to the podcast. Check out the YouTube page, search The Nerdball Podcast. If you want to hit us up on email, it's thenerdballpodcast@gmail.com. All social medias, just search The Nerdball Podcast. Just Google that. You'll find everything you need, The Nerdball Podcast. Also have another podcast called Three Different Dads. We are in hiatus currently, but we have 50 episodes there. Check that out. Again, just searching the Three Different Dads wherever you're listening. As always, thanks to Real JP Multimedia, Big Daddy Graphics, Perrysburg Junior High STEM Lab, and Cuttlefish Graphics for always helping out the podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.